To me, like one of the complex process in our body is giving a birth to the, any child, right? So recently, Siraj had a baby boy, and then it happened in their home, and only Siraj and his wife were there, and so that was a thing we will come to know from him.
So I actually wanted to test Raja. First thing he told me, which really took me by surprise, is so this was like, somebody is reading my body. I didn't tell him anything. I just gave him pulse. I wanted to really test and understand what he will do. I said, that's all? Then he said, that's all. So you call me after. I couldn't even believe what he was saying. He said, that's it. So I asked him, what if this is not cured? He said, first you give, then you call me. See if it is not solved by the night. This was morning. So and then we gave it 3 times, and then the swellings went away. For me, this was a huge incident. I still remember, the pictures are very clear in my mind. For me, I was telling in the graduating class, even to Raja and stuff, if I had to pay $10,000, I would actually pay $10,000. I'm talking about 6.5 lakhs, 7 lakhs to this course to understand the insights I got on the spiritual side. To me, this course would be worth it for me to pay that kind of a money. These ideas were not very difficult to implement. That was for me really. I didn't see it as very requiring lot of major changes. Maybe because to a large extent my lifestyle was already aligned to what Raja is recommending, right? So for me personally, I've been an entrepreneur for now almost 4 years. I got few insights that helped me to even redefine how I should run my business. To me, this is really invaluable, right? This is as good as the MBA education, or even more valuable to me than the MBA education I had at ISB, one of the top business schools in India. So when I learnt Raja was delivering, babies at home, so that time I actually intended that my wife would also deliver the natural way. From then the next 3-4 hours, so I and my wife, we received literally what to do step by step. You wouldn't believe, you wouldn't understand. One thing I noticed is the child is growing up and much faster, and then much more active compared to the earlier children in some sense. And I'm also able to see it as God's power and God's glory in a lot of the movements and transformations of the child itself.
Hello, my name is Bashir. I finished Master of Acu 2 years back, and regarding the lifestyle of it, and then what is the health system, how it is a disease is forming, and all the things we learned, and then we are practicing now. And then today we are going to interview the Siraj, who is also finished Master of Acu with me. We're just going to interview about his experience and stuff. So let's go there. Can you just tell me about your professional background?
So like most Indian adult, I work in an IT company. I actually run an IT company myself. So that's I follow the typical route of a software engineer, nothing exceptional.
Good, yeah. And what is your background with respect to the health?
So, with respect to health, I actually was in a mindset I couldn't care less about health, so I don't remember of any health problems for most of my childhood, except there was one time I was visiting my hometown and we were playing in the pond, throwing mud on each other, and then I got suddenly my eyes were red. It didn't go away after a few days, so I was taken to a hospital. The doctor told me I had TB. So then I was given a lot of tablets. That was the first time I remember. Maybe I was 12, 13. Before that I don't remember visiting hospitals or being concerned about anything in health. This they asked me to continue. This TB is not something that will go away. You have to keep on taking tablets. I don't remember for how long I took the tablets. Then when I went to engineering college, I started getting this wheezing. I mean, even the name I learnt that time. So, which was quite severe. Hence, I was looking for different options. I was told in allopathy there is no cure, easy cure. So then I think I went to homeopathy in Satyamangalam. I studied in Erode, so I went. It was helpful. It reduced. But then I always had this fear, even when I was traveling, that I could get wheezing. So this was wheezing was a major problem that was affecting me. And then once I've started working, about a year into working as a software engineer, I started getting a lot of pain in my right shoulder, extreme pain. And then I was working in Coimbatore that time, so I got into this KCH. We got all kinds of tests, and then they told me, so the problem is because you are working in IT, you are using mouse, so this is the problem. So I asked, so what's the diagnosis? What's the solution? You have to stop doing that. I said, that's my profession. So what I did was, the pain was extreme. So I learned actually to work without mouse on the professional side. But so I took physiotherapy and all of that. But then the pain will come in different forms. So whenever I carry any weight, for example, whenever I remember I travel to any place, I am carrying my own luggage. After some time when I reach, I will get pain. During marriages and other events in my family, in the night I would be with this pain. Everybody would be sleeping. So the second part of my life was really difficult. But then post that, I shifted to Bangalore, and then without realizing, I actually enrolled in yoga class. I started doing a lot of these things, and most of these problems went away. There was one time I had consulted a doctor, and we did MRI scan, and they told me there is a gap between C5 and C6 here, and this is incurable. The only way to solve this is to do surgery. This was the time maybe I was 23 or 22 years old. So, and my family said, you are just too young and doing a surgery on a spinal cord, let's not attempt it. So the doctor told me, you have to wear this neck collar. This was the situation. So every time whenever you are traveling, they told me the reason could be, I used to read a lot even when I'm traveling and stuff. This could be the thing. So I stopped that also. But without knowing, because I enrolled in this yoga and other things, eventually this pain never returned. After 2-3 years, I don't remember having this pain for a long time. So then, again, I forgot about health. As a student, I was never interested in becoming a doctor, and I hated biology. So that's my end of really any aspiration to know about health and stuff. So till it was 2010, I was in Switzerland working there, and one of my cousin sisters who was very close to me, so I got the news she got cancer, and I was quite surprised. My question was, people like us who are pursuing a modern lifestyle, using microwave, eating burgers and pizzas, consuming a lot of junk food, living in urban, lifestyle, sleeping very late. So it's possible, or at least to me, I could justify if I get cancer, or my wife or anybody around us. But my cousin she was living in a remote village, and a normal, what I would consider to be a very healthy lifestyle, calm, peaceful, eating normal food. So it was a huge state of shock, and she was very close to me. So that launched me into an inquiry about, I really need to understand this. So I don't remember what all sources, maybe I googled, I searched. So the thing that I still remember was, I landed on a book called Islamic Medicine. The book's name is Healing Body and Soul. It was written by a doctor in the US, MBBS doctor or MD. She was an MD, I guess. So she is an Arab. So after practicing allopathy for a number of years, she went back to her own land. Maybe she was from Egypt. and then studied Islamic medicine. And then this book, she talks about the difference between the two in terms of approach, how they dealt with, and then how the different diseases are seen by these two different systems. To me, this gave the first clue as to why my sister could have gotten cancer. So that was the first time I actually got interest in health. So I really wanted to find a way to help my sister. And then by God's guidance, somehow, sometime later, I think it was you, if I remember, in one of the meetings you told me about Healer Bhaskar. And then at the same time, one of my sister also told me about Healer Bhaskar. So back in Geneva, so I started watching his videos. And this gave me a lot of insight. I mean, for me, health was something I never bothered about, and then whenever something comes for me, I was always using tablets, So diarrhea, take this tablet, this pain, that pain. I remember always carrying this Oviron gel, because if this pain comes and then this puff, it's like, okay, X comes, do Y, and then that's gone. If it is not gone, there's nothing. And oftentimes the image I had is, even my mom, like your mom, similar 25 years she has been taking tablets. And even my brother bought this very nice box, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you can put a lot of these tablets. So it was always, it is like this, once you get in, it's like a regimen that you continue for your life. And I did not see any benefit in or at least any improvement in my mom. Like, she has taken 10 years of tablet, things improved, nothing. And for my own problems, whenever I went, the thing is, we don't know, right? It could be this, it could be that. And then when the problem comes, really, when it repeats again, I couldn't find a solution to it, whether it was physiotherapy, this, that. Because the problems I had in my shoulder and stuff, they are momentary. They happen in the night. By the time morning comes, it's gone. The next day it is gone. So there is no trace. Take whatever, X-ray, this scan, that scan, there's no trace. When it comes again, so over time, I actually understood what caused these pains, carrying weight, So I tried to avoid them. That's how this was. Anyway, so coming back to the Healer Bhaskar side of things. So this one really drew me in. So I literally watched all of his videos. Maybe it's 20 hours, 30 hours. And then I got the feeling, okay, so now health is something, it is not external. First, disease is not external, like you shared with us, that it is happening internally because of the problems. And this is really something that we can manage. I remember one of the insights when I heard, I literally wanted to make sujood to God, so thanking him, because for me so far the impression is, so once a problem comes, you go to a doctor, you get some medicines and stuff to cure, but that the whole process of curing itself is inbuilt was like a big insight to me, and to me it was a big blessing that humans have been given. So then my experiment with my own body started. So I wanted to experiment and see how this works and to change my lifestyle. This was what I was doing. So I moved back to India in 2014. This was what I was doing. But then when my family got, for example, when my kids get fever and stuff, so I didn't have enough confidence to really tell them anything, so you should do this or that. And then, so I remember, so I got to know Raja through a friend. And then we have referred actually a number of patients to Raja, friends to Raja. And then my wife one time was saying, can you do something about this cold? My wife and the newborn at that time, 8 months old, they were both having cold for 8 months. So she was telling me, it's been 8 months, so can you do something about it? So in my case, I wanted to find something closer to what the principles that I learned through Healer Bhaskar and stuff. So then I thought, so why not try this acupuncture? So that's how I kind of got to know acupuncture.
Okay, so even for the acupuncture treatment, so how does it, what was the experience like? Was it comparably immediately getting cured, and what was the experience, and what did your wife said about this acupuncture treatment?
So I mean, I have to tell you something which should be actually off the record. So my impression, there were a few relatives who were going through acupuncture. So my impression of acupuncture is you should not take milk, you should not consume chicken, poultry. So that's no, right? So, meaning I didn't have a very positive feeling. I mean, these are the two things I said, okay, any patient goes, the acupuncture doctors say this. This was the feeling I had. And I felt this is not really right. I mean, what is wrong with milk? This was my question. So when I came to Raja, so I genuinely wanted to try for my wife and kid because I was looking for somebody that I could consult and talk to and so understand and learn more about as we are facing problems, because Healer Bhaskar, I read the book, I watched the videos, that's it. Beyond that, there's nobody to talk to. So from that perspective, I needed somebody. So we came, Raja did the pulse diagnosis, and then he told my wife what could be the causes, how really cold is formed. So I got to know it is formed through basically waste. Cold is a mechanism related to waste produced in the body. For me, it was a big insight. Somehow I either missed this insight earlier. So this was a big insight. So we understood, okay, so it's not some external event, it's virus, flu or this and that. But why it is recurring? Because it was almost 8 months it was recurring. So we had the first clue. So when we tried it out, it really, it has been now 2014 to 17, almost 3.5 years. So each time now, even for example, yesterday night, I had a bit of, phlegm coming out. So, and immediately I could relate to what actions I have done that could produce this. There are a number of days when I get up now in the morning, I sneeze. And then I understand why, because, there are a number of reasons that. So I was able to understand this basic principle of basically your own actions producing waste in the body, which then come out in the form of different symptoms, starting with cold, then increasingly, cough, and then fever, and stuff. So this was one. For me, so I actually wanted to test Raja. For me, I am. So what I did was I had no intention to get treated by him. So, but I told him, do it for me also. So what's the problem in my body? So he did pulse diagnosis and he asked me, first thing he told me, which really took me by surprise is that you did not have food on time in the last 1 week or so. Your body is a little bit affected. So you have constipation because of that. So this was like, somebody is reading my body. I didn't tell him anything. I just gave him pulse. I wanted to really test and understand what he will do. So I denied that. I am a person who takes meal on time, So I denied that. No. I always eat on time. But he told me, no. This is what your body is telling. Then I actually recollected the previous week. I just came back from a long overseas travel and I went home for Eid, literally what is going to come now. And then in my home, the timings are very different. They're from a business family, so it's very different. So it was true that I actually did not eat on time and stuff. So I was quite surprised. I had to recollect that this happened. That my, through pulse diagnosis, he was able to find this out. Then I told him, so I asked him, so what should I do? What treatment and stuff? He said, for you, nothing. Your body is perfect. I asked him, so what about this milk and all this? Because for me, that was the impression, right? No milk, no chicken. He told me, for you, there's no restriction whatsoever. Because for my wife, he told no milk and stuff. So for you, there's absolutely no restriction. I think you are very tired because of the travel. Just take rest and your body will be all right. This made an impression. So this is not something, it's like every patient, they give the same thing. So there's something. And then I think I picked up the book from here. When I read, so I was able to again, in some sense, revisit some of the principles I learned earlier. And then, so eventually, so this was my child as well as my wife's cold problem got cleared. Then I wanted to take the next experiment, which was my mom. To me, one, I really wanted to help her, and then I wanted to see, is this something that can handle something as critical as this? To me, it was almost 25, 30 years of problems and stuff. So I called my mom over. She came and stayed with me in Chennai, and then we came to Raja. He told me, yes, this is curable. We can stop all the medicines gradually. But she has to come. I think like your mom, it was 2-3 times in a week in the beginning, then eventually once a week and stuff. But she was able to stop medicines, and she had in between here and there some different problems and stuff. But for most of these things, the cures and solutions given were very simple, like take fenugreek or pepper, heat it up in water and then drink. Many of these cures were very surprising to me, very natural, very simple cures and stuff. And then there was one time I remember in between. So I got a call from my daughter school, and then they told, your daughter has a serious problem, come and pick her up. She's ill. And then when I picked her up, her all over the body there were huge swellings, bumps, almost like very visible red. And then my wife told me, so one of the other child's mom told, this has happened to her also, and this is some serious kind of some infection that has come, and it has to be treated very urgently, and all kinds of fear messages. So I came and I was like, when you see it induces fear, it was really very severe. So I called Raja, and he told me, so take pepper, fenugreek, maybe there was something else he told me. So boil these things and then give her every 3 hours. I said, that's all? And he said, that's all. So you call me after. I couldn't even believe what he was saying. He said, that's it. So I asked him, what if this is not cured? He said, first you give, then you call me. So if it is not solved by the night. This was morning. So and then we gave it 3 times, and then the swellings went away. For me, this was a huge incident. I still remember, the pictures are very clear in my mind. For me, I was reflecting, if I have gone to allopathy medicine, she would have been immediately admitted into the hospital, with all kinds of tests and stuff. So the whole concept of acting on fear, versus the calmness that I experienced, this was to me, I would say, a defining experience, really. So my mom eventually stopped all the medicines, things improved and stuff. But then today, if you ask me what's the situation of my mom today, is she taking the medicines? Actually, she's fallen back to allopathy. She's taking all the medicines because she moved back to my others, like brothers and sisters' home, where the lifestyle is very different. So the eating time, sleeping time, what kind of meal. So unless this is changed, I think, really acupuncture or none of these methods really work. And then I think my mom was also feeling, not drinking tea and coffee was difficult on her. And eventually she said, this is too difficult for me. I want to go back to allopathy. So she went back. So this was a case where I saw the benefits, and I wish so she continued that, but somehow by God's will it did not happen. But for me, then I said, okay, so with respect to me, I wanted to understand my body better. I am a person who is very focused on performance, so I wanted to sleep less. I want to increase the effectiveness of my body. And then I also wanted, whenever my children get sick, I didn't want to go to any doctor. I wanted to see whether I can treat myself. That's how I decided to join the course.
Okay. And I know very well that you are extremely busy person and you are a successful entrepreneur, and then you travel across the world, and then literally you don't have time. So how did you, what was your motivation to join the course? Because, such a busy schedule, like I know you cannot even spend 10 minutes in a day just for something. So what was the motivation? Like, why did you decide to join in the course? That's a long commitment, one year, and then some dedicated half day where you couldn't afford any minutes of time in a day.
For me, I think the motivation is really self-driven. For me, as a busy person, I wanted to increase the time available in my day to do things. So I have tried all kinds of techniques. I read quite a bit, so I try all kinds of, I mean, any technique to improve my productivity, to improve my sleep schedule. So I try an experiment and see whether it works. So one of my key questions was, in Islam, there were a lot of pious people in the past who were able to sleep, 2 hours, 3 hours, and they were able to maintain the whole day. Whereas I seem to need 5-6 hours. So my thought was, how do I reduce this? This is one. And the second, I mean, the children, how do we really understand, because each time children get sick, even bringing him to Raja, like you said, for me, it's a huge disruption. It takes half a day of my time. And then, so I wanted to see, if this happens, at least I can understand what's going on. So this was the motive. Since, so I always, what I learned in life is, it's never about time, it's about priorities, right? So if you think something is important, you will always find time. Like I was saying, right? So my mom, I decided to treat her, and I had to drive from Kottivakam to here, taking her 3 times in a week. It literally takes half a day. So that means 3 half days in my schedule. I mean, to me, when I was, even thinking about this was difficult. When I was undergoing it, it was difficult. But the thing is, it had to be done because I saw what could be the potential benefit of that. In the same way, so for me, I felt, okay, so knowing this knowledge would not only transform me, it could potentially transform people around me. So this was the belief. So this became a priority. I mean, to me, that's how I would look at it, right? So given what the benefits, I'm now looking back, given the benefits that I've achieved, I mean, I actually feel I should have spent more time in the course, So we had only monthly once classes because of the place I was living and the long travel and stuff. I couldn't spend more time. I wish actually we had more classes.
Good. So after study, like what was your experience? Like, were you able to understand your health, and then how do you look about others' health benefits, like if they're coming with some problem, and how are you facing that?
So if I look at the MACU course, for me, I would look at it split it into 2 ways really. So one is what I call the clinical side of it, the medical side of it. There was very few things, new things I learned, because a lot of education has already been done. For me, the biggest benefit was on what I call the spiritual side of things, right? So for me, I mean, I was telling in the graduating class, even to Raja and stuff, if I had to pay $10,000, I would actually pay $10,000. I'm talking about 6.5 lakhs, 7 lakhs to this course to understand the insights I got on the spiritual side. To me, this course would be worth it for me to pay that kind of a money. Because that really transformed not only how I look at my health, but how I look at my entire life and my role in my life, how I lead my life, and my relationship with the Creator. Really, how do I lead my life on a moment by moment basis? For example, you talk about my travel schedule, busyness, and all of that. This helped me to actually make sense of this. So this helped me. Because I'm a busy person and I've been used to setting ambitious goals and stuff. So I was not a very calm person at heart. So for the first time in my life, I actually understood I was not a calm person at heart, and that lead to what kind of problems in my body. And through talking to Raja after the class a number of times, trying to understand, I was able to first of all experience that calmness in me, and the real sense of understanding what's the purpose of me and how do we really interpret events that are happening in my life, So a disease being an event. So for me, it is a huge education in terms of, that's priceless for me. So personally, it has benefited. It has helped me to, for example, I often have heat problems in my body, So I understood my reading habit. Reading a lot causes that. overworking, sometimes not even respecting body signals causes many of these things. So I learned to pay more attention to my body, what the message it is saying. Even in a busy schedule, how do we make time for pockets of sleep, for example? So my body type, I need frequent rest here and there. So for example, when I'm traveling 10 hours, sometimes, driving myself. So sometimes I feel extremely tired. What do I do? So I drink coffee and stuff. So Raja gave me this suggestion. Even if it is a few minutes, just stop the car, close your eyes. You don't have to sleep, but it will rejuvenate you. So I followed this. This is very helpful actually. I mean, it improved road safety. And number of times in the meetings, so I have back-to-back meetings. The first time I tried this was just before the meeting. I was dialing into a conference call in Dubai. As we were waiting, I closed my eyes. I told my team members, so just give me a few moments. I need to relax and prepare for the meeting. Closing the eyes for a few minutes, and then that gave me a lot of energy. So I saw these ideas were not very difficult to implement. That was for me really. I didn't see it as very requiring lot of major changes. Maybe because to a large extent my lifestyle was already aligned to what Raja is recommending, right? So the few changes I needed to do was this. So for me personally, so clinically I understood my body better. I am able to deal with my children's disease better. And then on the spiritual side, there's a lot of benefit I got. For me personally, I've been an entrepreneur for now almost 4 years. I got few insights that helped me to even redefine how I should run my business. To me, this is really invaluable, right? This is as good as the MBA education, or even more valuable to me than the MBA education I had at ISB, one of the top business schools in India. So that's how I benefited.
Yeah, and the health in the perspective of whole life is a small thing, and the business sense. So, what is the benefit of this course, which not only is related to health and stuff? Is there any other benefits that you got through this course? Because as I said, like, health is just one point of in a whole life considering, right? So there are a lot of other aspect is there. So what was key takeaway from this?
So if we try to split our life into compartments, right? So literally our days, there is a professional part of the day. We spend most of our life there. Then there is a personal part of the day, right? So in the professional part of the day, as I was saying, understanding the spiritual insights helped me to understand who I am as a person. Internally, I was given guidance on how to even take decisions in a lot of my professional life. Previously I remember, so in all these years, it's been now literally from the time I remember, I was reading a lot. In the last 2 years, I actually don't read quite a bit, and I don't even feel the need to read. Sometimes I feel even reading will interfere with my ability to actually receive some of these suggestions. It doesn't mean I don't read at all. I still read. But previously, the need to read was my primary source of improving myself and stuff. But now I feel I get a lot of these suggestions internally through my own heart, ideas that are coming to me. This is something that I found to be of extremely valuable in my professional life. So now coming to the personal life, so my schedule, for example, to a large extent reflects whatever ideas and recommendations Raja was giving. I was able to understand food a lot better, so what food is suitable for me, what is not, and stuff. So this is on my side. And when kids get diseases and stuff, now, like you are saying, the fear aspect is not there. So we have now, in these 3 years, we have lived through my newborn getting extreme fever and the whole family getting totally psyched up, very angry with me why we are not, taking them to hospital and all kinds of things. But I and my wife, we were internally, given the strength to deal with it, right? We have seen it a number of times. So there's no fear. First time we were also, in two minds. Because the knowledge, you get certainty in knowledge only by experience, right? So one is to have a feeling, okay, if you do this, and it works. I remember in one of the classes, our last class, we were learning pulse. And then I actually didn't even believe till then this pulse diagnosis, what we put as a point, right? It actually works. So I asked Raja, does it, like, once you give the treatment, can we see the change in pulse? How long does it take? And Raja told me, you can see immediately. So I remember one of our classmates, another Bashir, this elder Bashir. So I checked his pulse, the 6-point pulse, and then I gave him treatment, and then I checked again and it revived. To me, I still remember this moment. That's when faith comes. Oh, it really works, So for me, I'm naturally a skeptical person. I don't easily accept information. I'm open to taking a lot of information, but I want to experiment and confirm through myself, my own experience, that it actually works. From that perspective, living through the diseases of my own children and my wife and myself, it has really helped me. For me, in these last 3 years, even just now, about 2 weeks back, I got a fever for 10 days, I remember in the graduating class, Raja was saying the best experience for you is your own sickness, and the best knowledge you got are whether you really understood things or by how you treat your own diseases and stuff. And then every patient who comes to you, he is not coming for you to cure them, but he is sent to you so that you can learn from them. This second part really transformed my social things, because I remember previously, I don't remember whether people come and discuss health with me, because it was not my concern. Maybe people discussed it, never stayed in my mind. But this time, wherever I go, people come to me and then they discuss their health issues with me. Maybe I invite them, or, God send them to me. But for me, the biggest the satisfaction I have is I'm able to actually instill a feeling of calmness. I remember I was in Medina and I was taking a taxi to buy some food. And then I struck a conversation with the taxi driver. He doesn't talk full English, it's halfway we are trying to talk. And then he told me his father had a serious problem and then he wanted to come to India to Apollo or something to get. So I was able to actually ask him, understand the issue. And then I was able to tell him why it could have come, that you could actually take an alternative treatment. I invited him to come and consult Raja himself rather than going to a thing. So I remember I went to Geneva and then I was able to meet a lot of friends again. And then everybody this time told me they had this problem, that problem. And whoever I thought was like healthy, perfect, they all came to me with problems. But the thing is, I feel a greater sense of really being able to help people, because I get a lot of happiness when I'm able to help people with my knowledge. In my professional work also, this is what I do. For me, the knowledge, the first is to benefit my own self. The second is equally important, if not more, is to use it to help others. So now I visited my hometown, a lot of my elderly relatives, very old women. So I'm able to see them, offer them lifestyle changes and stuff. So literally it has transformed my life in ways that I cannot really count. For me, the biggest benefit, if I have to summarize, is it helped me to know myself better. When I say know myself, my relationship with the Creator, how we receive guidance in terms of all of our day-to-day affairs, right? And then the absence of fear. I wouldn't call it absence of fear, really dealing with fear. Because the fear is always inherent, right? Even in these 10 days, you came to me, when I was having this fever. After a week and stuff, I also start to feel, because the body becomes very weak, so I get a lot of pain. I have not slept for a number of days, So the thoughts keep coming. Should I do something about it, But then internally, that is the fight. How do you apply on the knowledge? How do you stay firm, without going back? I wouldn't say I succeeded every time. So there are times that I fail, but at least now I know I'm much more aware of the overall process. To me, it has completely changed my, every sphere of my life.
Okay, and I know you have spent more money in learning the costliest yoga and stuff. So is it required after during the treatment, or is there anything like you need to still follow the yoga and pranayama and then doing exercise, drinking 8 glasses of the water in a day? So is it really matter when you do this kind of stuff?
I have a mixed answer. Maybe it would surprise you. Things like techniques like this, drinking 8 glasses and stuff. Yes, they're absolutely not required. Really. So you need to listen to the body to know whether you need 1 glass of water or 10 glasses of water, right? So there are days I don't remember drinking water and all. I remember in the past I was one of those guys. So you have to drink 3 liters of water. How do I do this? Start my day with this. Take regular breaks so that I drink. I used to exercise a lot. I stopped exercising and stuff. But then I also feel it's not like everybody would be able to adopt to everything. So I still feel yoga, pranayama, exercise, and a lot of these other things, what we call the health and lifestyle stuff, could be beneficial to number of people, because people are on a journey. Not everybody is able to change their lifestyle and circumstances quite drastically. So even if somebody is coming, for example, I often have problems in my, what I call the air element, which is lung, surprisingly. Yeah. So one of the things, the revelations for me in the course was, we had this chart where for each element, they were discussing what type of problems come, what type of pain and stuff. And I saw that for the air element, I experienced every problem. In seasonality wise, for me, TB was related to air, wheezing was related to air. This pain, I could have never guessed it was related to air. It was saying the pain in shoulders, the symptoms. And then the pain would be moving, the pain would be disappearing. For me, when I learned this was another hugely strengthening thing. For me, the mystery in my life was why I did not get this pain. There was a time I used to regularly get this, and then a few years later, I did not get. All I remember was I did a lot of yoga, pranayama for a couple of years. But this one told me why actually the yoga helped, or how the yoga helped. Because yoga, I focused a lot of yoga on actually regulating my breath, meaning really increasing my lung capacity, or water element, balancing, not the water element, the air element, balancing the air element. So unknowingly, God has guided me to this practices which helped me to actually rectify the problems without me knowing about this. So they went away. So a lot of air related problems, they went away. So when I saw this chart, really to me, first time in our class, this was another huge personal experience. All of these were related problems. I remember running from different type of doctors. I was in Coimbatore, talking to different kind of doctor, and a neuro doctor, this doctor, that doctor, all kinds of things. Here it is just one elemental problem, and this was consistently there from my probably childhood, till recently. Even now, after going through the treatment, number of symptoms I feel are related to air. So so what I wanted to say is, it's not like before and after. It's like before I had a lot of problems. Today I lead a perfect life. There is no problem. I get up, I walk. I never fall sick. No, not really. So first, I still have problems. The nature of problems have changed. One. The second, then the how I relate to the problem has really changed. Previously, sometimes I'm not even having a clue as to whether something is a problem, whether my body is telling me a message, right? For example, burping comes. After eating, let's say 2 hours later, burping comes. Previously, this is not even something I would notice, now I notice, and I am able to connect it to back why it could have come, and what the body is trying to tell me, whether it's a problem or not, so I'm able to actually change my actions. That's how I see things. So since I am not, and no human being is perfect, so we don't act on the knowledge we are given all the time. We overeat, we oversleep, I overwork, I mean, there are times that I just, cannot follow a lot of these things, and then sometimes there are deadline pressures and stuff. So we slip. But the thing is, we slip, and when we come back, I realize what I have slipped and where my body's problems are happening and stuff. Or in the reverse way, suddenly I have a problem in my body. Now that gets me to think about what's going wrong. Is there something wrong in my thoughts? Because that's the spiritual side of things, right? It's not really only food and what we consume. It's really the thoughts that we have, right? The ability, the need to control something, control an outcome. For example, I need to meet this deadline, right? How the frustration we experience with people, anger, something is not happening, and all of this affects our elements, as good as the food, really. So now when I have a problem, I am able to relate back what could have caused this, right? So this has become from being a black boxes to something that I can examine and see what could be causing this. So that's how I would say this has transformed.
Good. Okay. So acupuncture is okay, and then treating yourself is okay and stuff. So to me, like one of the complex process in our body is giving a birth to the, any child, right? So recently, Siraj had a baby boy, and then it happened in their home, and only Siraj and his wife were there, and so that was thing we will come to know from him. So Siraj, tell us about, as this is whoever listen this, right? The first question, if I'm explaining this, this is what happened in Siraj's life, then first question, like they'll ask whether Siraj is uneducated or he don't have money, right? He can go to any nearest hospital and stuff. Is it really, what do you think, like why he is taking such a risk, like this is like uneducated and money, or what he is thinking, why he is taking so much risk and child stuff, like what was really is happening?
So I think this is the common when people get to know about this childbirth at home, two reactions happen. One is extreme compliments, extreme praise for me. Another is a lot of these attacks, literally. So to me, I don't deserve both. So to me, the process of really understanding health and my relationship, I mentioned, right? So for me, this whole journey has been understanding the relationship with the Creator and my own role in that. So delivering child at home to me was the next practical and live lesson through which I understood my real role, right? So when people are pricing me in our class, for example, a lot of our students, to me, I don't deserve that, because all of this is by God's will and the strength that I received and the guidance I and my wife received on that day. Yeah, I had actually any role to play. This was very little, very little, almost nothing really, right? But as I was telling you, the fear, what can be a greater fear to conquer than your own death? For me, I had come to terms with my own death, so, but then in this case, I was, dealing with the possibility of my wife dying, so the thought was very much there. What if my wife dies tonight? What if the child also dies? What will my father-in-law will say? What will my family say? All of these thoughts are just strongly circulating in my mind. And how did, I get the strength to deal with this is, to me, is God-given. So it was not like I didn't have any of these thoughts. These thoughts and fears were very much there. But it is action and acting on your knowledge given, acting on that faith is, despite these fears, is what I learned that night. I mean, so now coming to the people who criticize. So in terms of uneducated, that, so what level of education I have. But the question really comes from our belief system. So we, think that educated people will do certain things. Uneducated people, literally Tamil, we call it Kattum Randi, Padikadavan. I mean, These are derogatory terms we use to quickly classify people, like, so that means anybody educated will have to always go to allopathy hospital, right? The risk in life comes from really our understanding. For example, all my professional life, not here, so I actually help clients to deal with various type of risk, so in terms of technology and stuff. So for me, really, the risk was not, dealing with the risk in a mature and calm way, to me, is the sign of education, right? And then our fears are related to really the knowledge we have, right? So if this event has happened, for example, we have given birth 3 years earlier, right? That time I've gone through all of Healer Bhaskar lessons and stuff. Did I even think that I would deliver at home? Never really, right? So this thought did not even cross in my mind. The conviction to do certain actions, the ability to even think about them, and the supporting environment, all of that to me is guidance that is given. So you are given knowledge, you are given guidance and stuff. So that's how this event really happened. In terms of details, so it was like this. So when I learnt Raja was delivering babies at home, so that time I actually intended that my wife would also deliver the natural way, so I talked to my wife, but she said, I'm not really keen on this, so I'm already used to, so this would be our fourth baby. So we see in this EV Kalyani in Mylapore hospital, very good relationship with the doctors. So she said, I am happy, I do not want to experiment anything else. I said, this is perfectly fine, I'm not going to force you. Just come and attend the class, understand this viewpoint, and then you take your own decisions. She said it's fine, so she came and attended the class. Post the class, I was driving back. I remember we were driving under this Adayar bridge, and I asked her, so what's your decision? So, you are going to change or nothing? She laughed and said, no change. That's what I told you, right? I'm already convinced that I'm not going to try anything new. So nothing, no change. I remember there was a bit of anger surging in me, I almost wanted to force her and argue with her, saying, isn't this a waste of time, and why did you come, and all that. But then immediately that the next moment that thought came, I'm not the controller of all of this really, right? So I don't have the right to be angry on her, right? So this is her own life. She can take whatever decisions that she wants, So then immediately I connected back to God and saying, this is my desire, right? So I told her, I want you to deliver at home. But that's my desire, right? But I am not going to force you to do happy, so you can continue, no problem. So we will continue to go to do whatever. But I still hold my dua or whatever we call, the belief that I will keep asking God that my wife has to deliver at home. So this has continued for, I think, maybe 4-5 months or even more. So I would go every week with her to the hospital. We will go through all kinds of tests. But in my mind, I kept on asking God, so guide us to this. And I don't remember at some point my wife told me, I actually want to try this at home. No, interference, or I never went back and said, what do you think? You want to change? I am a very forceful person, once I am convinced of something, I want to change people. But in this case, this was like, no force, nothing, no really. Because in EVK, they allowed me to actually stay inside whenever my wife delivered, all the 3 times. So I know how difficult the process is. So I felt, so a man can never understand the pain the woman is going through that. And I have no right to, force her to do something. If she is completely, perfectly convinced, then it's fine. So genuinely, this is what I believed also. So at some point, she told me, I think very close to maybe 9 months or even later, that, I want to try this out. Normally, when something like this happens, I actually jump and become very excited. This time, somehow God has guided me. I remained calm. I told her, even now, you can change your mind anytime, so this is fine. And then we bought some of these materials that we had to do and stuff. And then we were just going on life normally, and then we were consulting doctor. And then I think towards the end stages, maybe we stopped going every week. I forgot the thing. And then the actual event itself, that night it happened. So around 10:30 she was telling, I feel like some uncomfortable feeling in my stomach. That night I was very tired, so some long day or whatever. So I actually slept off. She woke me up around 12 o'clock. It was 12. When she woke me up, I actually had a feeling this is going to be a very significant night for me. And from then onwards, I actually just acted on whatever guidance I was. The first thought was when I woke up and she was telling, so the pain has really come, so now call Raja. So I called Raja. Till then I had no clue, so what is awaiting me. But when I woke up, I had a feeling that there is some significant event that's going to happen. And I felt very calm in my heart, literally no tension or stress, because when I was sleeping at that 1.5 hours before, I was bit tired and agitated and stuff. So very calm in my heart. And then I called Raja. Raja didn't pick up. I said, it's fine. So we will, let's wait for some more time. Waited for some more time. Second time call, Raja no pick up. So then I was thinking, oh my God, so what's going to happen? Then I said, anyway, so we'll wait. So anyway, this pain sometimes would take hours. So we started doing, preparing the stuff and stuff. And then at 2 o'clock, I called him again, no pickup. We called Shiba madam also, no pickup. Then I realized this is going to be me and my wife, So the first thought in between the calls and stuff, as she was going through this pain, previously there was, I was with her whenever she delivered. So a team of doctors and, so they tell me what to do, or I had no role to play except just be with my wife to comfort her and stuff. So I took my phone, I Googled, and then I started reading a few things. And then a lot of complicated direction and stuff. Then suddenly this thought came to me, is this what I'm supposed to do? Am I not taught that I would receive the guidance that I needed to receive? So I said, no Google, switch off the phone. From then the next 3-4 hours, so I and my wife, we received literally what to do step by step, you wouldn't believe, you wouldn't understand. So if I'm listening to another person, I wouldn't also believe. So it was to me a very, very spiritual experience. And then I understood another dimension of really creation. Yeah. So a very significant experience. So by the time Raja called, he called I think around 6:30, 6:40. The baby was born around 3:30. I finished everything, went out and even bought food, and everything was over by the time Raja called back. And then Raja and Sister Shiba came to visit us. His point was that was the night. That night, his phone for the first time stopped working. And then the Sister Shiba's phone, the children took and put it in some other place. Meaning this was an event that was prepared for you, So you had to deliver and stuff. For me, this was a tremendous experience in having faith in God, dealing with your fear, dealing with your own thing. And then post-delivery also dealing with the same people, relatives who come with curiosity, people who come to criticize, people, all kinds of mindset really. But as I saw, each one of these things, there is a way to deal with them calm, because we are given a station and knowledge. Some people are not given that knowledge yet. So when they criticize, we should not really get frustrated on stuff. So that's...
Yeah, so the final question is so how did this acupuncture class and then the knowledge is affecting in the newborn child, the initial treatments, right? Polio drops and stuff. What was the effect on this acupuncture in the newborn baby? So that's a final thing, right? So
okay. I think this is the first full vaccine-free baby that we have. Even for my last child, I insisted that we should not have vaccines. But in my absence, the doctors forced and made use of the fear to put 1 or 2 vaccines. I think in the days my wife stayed in the hospital. So this is the first vaccine-free baby, and then so whenever he had fever or other problems, so we were able to deal with them. Even now, as we are talking today, my son from last 2 days is having fever, the newborn. Overall, the experience of really dealing with disease has completely changed. One thing I notice is the child is growing up and much faster, and then much more active compared to the earlier children in some sense. And I'm also able to see it as God's power and God's glory in a lot of the movements and transformations of the child itself.
Yeah, the final question, the last real final questions would be like the pregnancy class that Raja is telling us. So, what is your recommendation for the viewers? Like, would you recommend this to anybody, because it's like highly what we consider as this one highly risk process, right? So, do you really recommend for others to go for this pregnancy class and deliver at home?
To me, knowledge is the first thing, right? Seeking knowledge helps us to understand what's going on and remove misconceptions. Because as we are all, growing up in different parts of the world, right? Different families, we come with a lot of baggages, right? So closed mind on a lot of things. This is how everything works. For this you have to go to hospital. This is too risky. That is this. This is this. Without really spending time or even understanding conceptually, is this true, whatever we have dealt? So I think the first step, seeking knowledge, whether in the form of even reading this small booklet in the clinic, or joining in the acupuncture course, master acupuncture course, or pregnancy, is the first step. That would bring, the knowledge is now going to bring out what is in your mind, what you have been already programmed. So now you have to deal with this contradiction, this knowledge, whether to accept that knowledge, whether not to accept that knowledge. But I invite, so everybody to actually come and at least be educated as much as your schedule allows, as much as your other constraints allow. Get knowledge, compare with what you know, examine your previous thoughts, then see which way to move forward. And depending on your maturity, your ability to act on the knowledge you are given, you will be guided. Some of you might take the full pregnancy class and then end up, delivering through Raja or one of the other doctors, or even you could do yourself, Depending on how you are as a person, it's not going to be uniform for everybody, right? So not everybody who joins the pregnancy class will even deliver, right? So I know of cases, very close friends, who have delivered first in acupuncture, then went back for the next to something else, right? Our heart is something which is fickle, it keeps changing. But the change happens because of the fear, because of the information we receive. So here is a package of information in the class. So you come, you receive, then decide whether it is beneficial for you. That's what I would recommend.
Okay, thank you so much, Siraj, for such a wonderful insight that you went through the pregnancy and the benefits of acupuncture, and then not only in the health benefit side, and also in the other aspect in the life. So thank you very much for that.
I want to close by saying Alhamdulillah, let all praise, all of it be attributed to the Creator, who first led me to this knowledge and gave me the strength to act on it, to experiment, and continued to give me enabling environment and supporting friends, teachers, and a lot of these to continue to act on the knowledge. And may He help me to practice this knowledge and be His servant till I die.